All right, so in this video, we're going to be building out a screening automation that automatically gets all the applications that you get, screens them, so it gives them an assessment based on their strengths, their weaknesses, their job application, and their resume, and it then sends you a message and logs that all into a clean database and organizes everything neatly. So let me show you a demo real quick. So what it does, it uploads the resume first into Google Drive, then extracts the file, extracts the text, and then we use this node to extract the information. So the name, the email, the LinkedIn profile, all the information we need. Then we feed the resume and the application to the AI agent, which has information about all of your job listings, openings, what your requirements are, everything about your jobs. And it goes into this, searches, compares the applications, and gives it the score and analyzes the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, risk scores, reward scores, everything that you need from the application. And after that, it should log it all into this cool Google Sheet that we have here. And as you can see, it just logs into this Google Sheet. And if it logs into this, and if the score is over 8, it also sends you a Slack message just so you know if if there's some applicant who's really good and who is best to review as fast as possible. So this is a quick overview. And I think this is super powerful if you're a small business owner. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. We're gonna build it out live, and I'm gonna show you every step, each steps, step by step. And in the end, I'm going to give you the exact free template so you can get this for free and set this up in a couple of minutes. So let's just get right into it. All right, so we have a clean new workflow, and the first thing we need to do is we need to add the Gmail trigger. So we click on the plus, type in Gmail, and just use the first trigger that shows up. And once we have this trigger, the first thing we'll need to do is create a new credential. And I'm going to walk you through how to set this up, because this is something where a lot of people have trouble in the beginning and get stuck. So the first thing we'll need to do is go to the Cloud Console. And what we'll do here is we'll create a new project. You just click on New Project and name it. Now and then just click Continue. I already created a project for this. So I'll go into the project, make sure it's selected here, and I'll go into APIs and services, and then on credentials. So the first thing we'll do is we'll click on plus and the credential. One thing I'll say is if you create a brand new project, there should be a button right in the beginning to create your OAuth client, and you can just click that and you'll be here. But go to credentials, click on create a credential and OAuth client ID. So then once you click that, we'll choose the web application as the application part, type, and we'll name it. Let's just say screening automation test. All right, so once we have that, we'll need to go back into n8n, double click on the Gmail node, click on the little pen, and then what we'll need to do, click on create credential first, and then click on this link here, on this redirect URL, copy it and paste it into here. And then we'll just create the credential, and it'll give us a client ID and a client secret. And we'll just copy the client ID in, and then the client secret. And then what we'll need to do real quick is a mistake that I did a lot in the beginning, is that once you have this credential, you need to click on it, and then on clients, or on audience, sorry, you go into audience and add users, and then you add your email, because that will add you as a test user so you can actually log in. So once you did that, you go back to n8n, click on sign in with Google, and just select your email, and then click continue and give it access to all the services. and then you should see this connection successful. So once you have that, we're already very in a very good place. And the next thing we'll need to do in this node is we'll need to turn off simplify, and under options, click add option and download attachments, and then toggle this on. So then once you did that, you have the first node set up. The next thing we're going to do is add a Google Drive node, because this email trigger will get the resume and the application, right? The next one we'll need to do is we need to upload it to our drive in order to be able to work with it, get the ID, get the link, and all that. That will make it so much easier. And you can use something else. You don't need to use Google Drive, but this is what I would recommend. So in order to set this node up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send myself an email with like a sample email with a sample resume and an application, just so we can work with it, pin it, and test that everything works. So I'm going to do that now, and you'll find a sample resume and an application in the description below under the link, so you can test this out too. All right, so as you can see, I sent this email to myself with the application and the resume. This is just a sample resume I picked. You can pick whatever you want for the testing. So we'll click on execute workflow. And as you can see, it's worked for the Gmail trigger. It shows this error because we didn't set this up yet, but this is what we're going to do now. So once you have this, what I would suggest you do is just pin this, because then you can just trigger the workflow as you want, and you won't lose this, and you won't have to send yourself 100 emails just to test this. So let's go into here, and what we'll need to do first is create a new credential. This is the same thing as we did in the Gmail one. You just create a new just client, and you do the same thing. Or if you have downloaded this, your client ID and secret, you could potentially just use the same. Just one thing we'll need to do is we'll need to go into the API and services and click on library. And what we'll need to do is we'll need to select the Gmail API. We'll need to enable that. So I enabled this already. So you'll see this enable button here, and you'll need to enable that. Then what we'll need to do is we'll need to go to the Google Drive API and click on enable too, because only then it will be able to access these API tools and be able to use it. So if you don't have this enabled, this won't work. So once you enabled that, let's just go back. I created the account already, so I'll just use that one, and we'll keep the resource to file, operation to upload, and for the data input data field name, we'll just copy in this attachment _0 and paste it into here. Important that you don't take the file name of the file itself. You just take this this file name that it has a color and paste it into here. Then for the file name, I'm going to go to schema and search for the name or the email or whatever it is, just so we can identify, or let me choose the address and then type in resume so we know that who this resume is from. So what this will do is in the Google Drive, you'll see this this resume with the email attached, so you know who this is from. For the parent drive, what we'll do is I'll keep it to my drive, and for the parent folder, what I did was I went ahead and created a resume folder. So I have this resume folder here with a bunch of resumes already uploaded. This is because I tested it a lot already, so this comes from that. But once you have that, I'll just select the resume folder here, so to make sure it actually uploads it to the folder, and we'll just test it. And what we should see is a new uploaded resume, and here it goes. Perfect. It all works. So this is awesome. So once you have set this up, we'll do a switch node, because a lot of applicants will have different formats of resumes they send in, and we'll need to change the format in order to work with it in the workflow and make sure that our data is clean and we can actually work with it, right? So what we'll go do is we'll go into the switch node, and what we'll do is we'll select the MIME type, put it into here and as the value one, and if the MIME type is equal to this, then it will go this route. So let me explain this. So this is the MIME type of Word documents. Simply said, this is how to identify what type of document you have. So this just tells you what type of document you have. If it's a PDF, it'll tell you application slash PDF or something like that. This is important to just know what route we need to send um, the file to, right? So we'll add two more routes. This will be important later on, but for now we're focused on the word route. And what we'll do first is we'll need to convert this Word doc, this Word file, we'll need to convert it to a Google Doc. And what we need to do is click search for HTTP request, add an HTTP request, and then I searched for Google Drive API. You can just type it into Google and go to the developer's website, and then we'll search for files and then click on copy. And then what we'll do is you can see, as you can see here, we need to use the post method. So we'll go back into n8n, into the HTTP request node, and first select the method post. Then we'll quickly just copy this URL over this API endpoint, and we'll change the v3 to v2. So let me execute this real quick so we can work with the data. As you can see, this will upload the file again, and because it has the MIME type of a Word document, it'll go down this route. And then once we have this, we'll see an ID here, and we'll copy it into here, just like that, and replace it with this file ID part. So this is awesome. This is already very good. And once we have that, we can go to the next step. So the next step would be that we would need to authenticate ourselves. And for that, what we're going to do is we'll click on authentication on predefined credential type, and we'll just search for the Google Drive API and set that up. The good thing is that we already set this up in this step before, so we don't have to do anything here. We'll just select this Google Drive OAuth 2 API, and we're basically ready to go. And one thing we'll need to do here is we'll need to add the question mark equals convert, question mark convert equals true, because this will, only if we use that, it knows that it should convert the file into a PDF. Because if we don't do that, it won't do that, and you'll end up with messy results that won't work. So if we try that and see how it works, it should be working. All right, awesome. Cool. So as we can see, this changed the format to a PDF application slash PDF, which is exactly what we wanted. So the next step would be to add another Google Drive node to change this format into to actually download the file. We need to download the file first. And how we do that is we go into this node, we'll select by ID and just scroll down a bit. Important that you don't use this ID that is in this parent array. We'll scroll down a bit and be a bit patient, and we'll find this ID here and just put it in here. Now what we'll need to do is add an option and Google file conversion, because what we'll need to do is we'll need to add this PDF, because this will make sure that it gets the PDF and will download the right file. So after you've done that, well, we're ready to do the last step from this kind of branch, and we'll select extract from file, extract from PDF. And yeah, this is basically it. Let's try it and see how it works. So as you can see, this worked perfectly. It extracted the text from the PDF that we gave it, and we have some data that we can work with. So the next thing we'll do is we'll add a set node, because this is the one node that it will all the data will be flowing into. So we'll select application text, and I will explain why we do application text, and we'll select resume text. Because what I like to do here is, let's change this to expression first, and then I'll explain. So you want to have two texts, the application and the resume, because I saw a lot of people just taking the resume, but there's a lot in the application that we can also extract in order to know what kind of job application they are applying for actually, and we can extract some information from that, because that will be important once we have the AI agent and we give it the vector stores in order to search for all the files from the job openings. So once we have that, we can basically go down, use the other paths and set them up. So I would do that first before going into the information extractor and AI agent, because I just like to work from A to B to C to D and so on. So from here, this will get a lot easier. This was the heavy lifting is done. This was the most complicated part by far. And what we'll need to do is now I'll send me a Gmail, an email with an application, but in the PDF form. So I'll remove the pin real quick and send myself another email. Now I send myself another email, and let's see how it goes. Now what we should get is this file with application/PDF. The only thing I did, I sent the same exact email, just with another format and from the application. So what we'll do is we'll select the MIME type again and copy and paste this into the value 2 and rename it to PDF, so we know what branch it is. And then we'll just download the file. This is pretty easy. We'll select Google Drive, download the file, and we'll just select ID, change it to an expression, and then paste drag and drop the ID into here. And once that is done, we can just extract from file and select extract from PDF with the same thing as before and drag it into here. The PDF one was really simple, just the same thing as here. You can, just with one less step of converting. And now, once this is done, we can actually test this before moving on, and see if it actually works. This is what I would also always recommend doing. And as you can see, it worked perfectly and extracted all the text. So now that we have that, I'm going to send myself another email, but in the text format, just in case someone sends a resume in the text format, which I would no one recommend doing. But yeah, just in case someone sends a resume in the text format, I'm gonna go ahead and do this real quick. All right, so I sent myself another email in the text format. Let's see how it goes. What it should do, go to the last branch, and we can just go in here, MIME type, drag it into the last one, rename output to text, and for the value 2, we'll just copy and paste this one again, so it knows which branch to go down. So once we have that, we can move on. We can do the same thing as before, search again for Google Drive and download the file, and we'll just select the ID again, just as before. This is still the ID from the Google Drive, and we'll download this. And then what we'll do is exact same thing as before, just with another format, because now we don't have a PDF anymore. We have a text file. So we'll click on extract from text file. And the only thing we'll need to do here is we need to change the output field. And what I would change in here is I would change the destination output field to text. So the node actually, the set node actually knows what it can put out and what it needs to put in. And since we have json.text in here, and the other ones put out their output as json.text, we'll need to name it the exact same so we don't run into problems. So let's test it out and see if it works. Downloads it. Awesome. Yes, it worked perfectly and extracted the resume text, which is amazing. So now that we have these different processes of converting all the different types of files and extracting the text, we can move on to the next step of extracting the information and building the AI agent and logging them into a database. So let's go ahead and add the information extractor node. This is a really cool node that I love to use because a lot of people just don't know about this stuff, and this is actually really useful. And I'll show you why. What we'll do is we'll just select. That was a bit fast, but what you need to do is click on the plus, search for information extractor, and once you have that, it will give you. It will have this model thing, and you click on the plus, and you can just choose the model you want to add. I just like to use the OpenAI chat model just to keep things simple, and it always works perfectly. And for the information extractor, what we'll do is we'll give it the resume text. So we'll say candidates. This is the input it will get, by the way. The candidates resume text, and we'll just drag and drop this in here, and it should have it. And one thing we'll do real quick is we'll go into edit fields and go to the Gmail trigger. And what I like to do is just drag and drop this text with the application text in here, so we can actually use the application text for the information extractor. So now that we added this will output the application text and the resume text. So now we can go into the information extractor and put in candidates resume text and candidates application text. Why are we doing this? Because this will give the information extractor both the resume text and the application text, so it can extract the information that we wanted to extract. So what information do we want it to extract? What we can do is we can add an attribute, and what we want to do first is we want to add the first name. We want to extract the first name, and what we can simply do is add a description. So we'll just say candidate's first name, and we'll put that as required. So this formula we can use for all the other attributes that we want to extract from these two texts. So let's go ahead and add the other attributes. So what we want to extract to is the last name. So once we can just say last name of the candidate and put that as required. We can extract the email and say email of the candidate. We can extract their position applied for, and just say position the candidate applied for. And then one last thing I'd like to do is extract the LinkedIn URL and say the LinkedIn URL of the candidate. All right, so this is basically it. We'll toggle on required for all of those, and we'll be ready to go. Let's see if it works and see what it gives us. All right, so it gave us the exact thing that we wanted: first name, last name, email, position applied for. It extracted what position the person wants to apply for. So we sent in this application text and said, I'm excited to apply for the head of marketing position. And this node just read through all of this text and extracted what position they want to apply for, right? And it extracted the first name, the last name, and even the LinkedIn URL. This is my profile, by the way. I put it into the resume, into the into this resume right into the bottom where you can't really see it almost, and it still extracted the information, which is really cool. So once we have that, we can move on to the AI agent. Ooh, the fun part. So let's do that. First things first that we can do is we can just connect the chat model to this one just to keep it more organized and simple. And they basically share one AI node, one model node with each other. So the next thing we'll do is we'll change the source for prompt to define below, because if you use the connected if you want to use this, you'll need a chat trigger node in the very beginning, which we don't have for this workflow. So we'll need to select define below, and then we'll be able to give it the AI agent a prompt that it can work with. So important to note is that this is the user message that it will have. And the basic difference between the user message and what we'll add later, the system message, is that the user message is what you basically give to the AI agent. The system message is what it has, the instructions you give it basically for executing the prompts that you give it. So it's like giving it a basic instruction to do for each prompt that you give it. I don't know if you use Claude, but it's like having a project and giving it a system prompt, an instruction there for the project. So what I did, I went ahead and created this simple prompt, and just give it the candidate's application text, which is this one. What you can do is you can just open the edit fields node and drag and drop this in, and you'll have this right in here. So as you can see, has the entire application text in here. And next, what we'll need to do is we'll give it the general information about the prospect. We do this because we want it to output this general information so we can add it into the Google Sheet later on. So I'll configure this real quick, and for the first name, you just drag and drop this in here. Last name, same thing. Email, you just drag and drop it in here. And then for the LinkedIn URL, I'm just going to drag and drop it in here, and for the position applied for. So this is all for the user message. I know this sounds simple, but the main magic will happen in the system message. And before we add the system message, what I would do is toggle this on, the require specific output format, because what this does, this is really cool. What this does is we can add a structured output parser. And what this is it allows us to make the agent give us a specific structure in its output. What this basically means is that we give it stuff and it processes the stuff and it gives us the stuff that it puts out in a nice format, because otherwise it would just give you a string and with all the text. But we don't want that. We want to be able to drag and drop specific elements of the output, and we want to just have it in chunks and have specific things out of the output that we can use later on. That might sound complicated, but I promise it isn't that complicated. So now let's add a system message. You just click on add option and click on system message. And I went ahead and created a prompt. You'll be able to copy and paste this and have the entire prompt available in the Gumroad I linked below in the description below, and you'll get this entire prompt. I can show you this. If you don't want to get the Gumroad for some reason, you can just make a screenshot of this, put it into ChatGPT, say extract the text, and you'll be able to have this prompt. And what this does, this is the actual part where we give the system prompt to the model so it knows that it is a world-class hiring expert and resume evaluator with 20 plus years of experience recruiting for top-tier companies, FANG, McKinsey, Goldman Sachs, etc. You combine the precision of the industrial organizational psychologist with the insight of senior hiring manager. So we use this prompt to make it good at evaluating the applications, tell it what to actually do and how to evaluate the applications. and how to assess them, how to give them a score. So we give it different weights of clarity and structure is more important, relevance, how relevant is it, impact and results, skills depth, which is 20% in this case. You can all adjust this based on your case, but this is what I chose for this. So in the end, it will give you their strengths, their improvement areas, the recruiter insights, and in here we just give it the input that it should search for the vector store, which I'll explain later how to do that for the job posting information, the requirements, description, and everything you want in a candidate. If you have set this up, what we'll need to do is go to the output parser and we'll click on define JSON schema. Then again, I went ahead and already did this, and this is again a long text, a long string of code. But you can just, yeah, you'll have this for free and you can just copy and paste this in. This will make sure that it gives us all the important information in a structured way. And I'm going to demonstrate how that works. But before we do that, there's one thing that's missing right now in the AI agent. And the one thing that's missing right now is that it doesn't have any information about your job posting, what your requirements are, what the job description even is, what's every information about the job it currently does not have. And this part is crucial because the AI agent needs to know what requirements you have in an applicant in order to evaluate how well they fit into the job. So for that, what I used an answer store question a store question and answer tool. Very complicated name, but answer questions with a vector store is the name of this. And what this does, it gets a question. The AI agent basically asks it a question or a prompt, and it uses a vector store and a model to search for the information and make sure that the agent has exactly what it needs. So for the vector store, first thing, I used a Pinecone vector store. Again, you can use something else, but I won't cover the other ones in this video because I think Pinecone vector store is very good. It's free and you can use it, and it's very scalable and reliable. So I would definitely recommend using it. No affiliate, by the way. I have nothing to do with this company. I just like how the service works. So obviously there are some things missing in here. I hate these uh, little triangles. So let's fix this real quick. All right, so I went ahead and logged into Pinecone. You just search pinecone.io and you create an account. And what we'll need to do is click on the database button and on indexes. Then we'll create an index, and this is the important part, is using what kind of embedding model we want to use. I used the text embedding 3 small model, and because this was right for this is just enough for this purpose, and we'll get you there. So I think this is very good. And you have to keep in mind is that this needs to be the same as the embedding model we'll use here. If this isn't the same, this won't work. So I wouldn't recommend using NVIDIA or something like that because n8n doesn't offer that right now as an embedding model. So I would definitely recommend choosing the text embedding 3 small model, and then we'll just choose AWS and we'll need to name this. So I'll name this screening automation test. Very simple, very easy. And then we'll just click on create index and we'll have the index. Now, once we have this index, we need to have some kind of way to upload the documents into this index, right? We need to somehow upload all the job posting information that we have into this database. So for that, I built another automation that does this. And because doing this through here would be pretty like annoying in my opinion, because you have to do this all automatically. So I built another workflow for this. And what we'll do, this is a very simple one. Don't shy away from this or anything. This is really simple, and I do my best to explain this simply. And the first node we'll choose is a manual trigger node. So you click on the plus and just use the trigger manually node. And the next thing we'll need to do is we'll search for Google Drive and add another Google Drive node. And for this one, we'll use the search files and folders. The reason we're choosing that node is because this will go into the folder and search for any files that we uploaded. Because how this is working is that we go into Google Drive, we'll create a folder, and we'll upload the files that we want the database to have into the Google Drive node. So this is an important step. The first thing we'll need to do now is we need to upload the documents we want the vector store to have later on. So in this folder, you're going to upload all the information you want, all the information about your job postings, all the requirements, everything that you're looking for in an hiring, in an applicant, everything, all the knowledge you want the AI agent to have about your job listings and your job criteria. So to give you an example, I created this folder called job postings, and I uploaded different job postings in here. So this one, for example, tells something about the role, key responsibilities, the applicant needs, requirements, must-have skills, nice-to-have skills, education, the minimum education required, the compensation, benefits may include everything that you're looking for in an applicant. Same thing for these two. And then we'll go into here, and what we'll need to do is we'll need to add a filter and select folder, and then search for the job postings folder and select that. So this is the only thing we'll need to do in this node. We'll just need to set this up so it actually knows which folders to go into and which folder to search for. So once we have that, we need to download the documents in order to store them in the vector base. So I'm going to select download file, and we'll select the ID. We'll just drag and drop it in here. And what we can do is we can test this and see if it already works. And as you can see, that worked perfectly. We have the 3 files ready, and we can move on with the process. Now, the last step of this automation is going to be the Pinecone vector store node. And what we'll need to do here is we need to select add documents to vector store. And now I already selected an account, but very simple stuff. This is way simpler than the Google Cloud credential thing. You just click on create credential, and you'll go into Pinecone. You go into API keys, create API key, name it, and create key, and then just copy the key and paste it into here. And then you click on save, and it should say connection tested successfully. Then we'll just need to select the index we created before in the last step. So I created this index, so I'll use that for the test, and that is basically it. So now we need to add an embedding. This is where it gets important. We need to use the exact embedding that we had before. And remember how I selected the text embedding 3 small model? The exact same one we need to choose here in order for this to work. And one important mistake I did in the beginning was that I tried to do that, but I always got an error of wrong dimensions, and 1500 something is the wrong dimension. And what fixed this was I clicked on add options dimensions, and I selected this dimension. Because if we go into the database I created, this has the dimension 512. And what I would recommend you doing is click on add option dimensions and select the exact dimension that you have here in this embeddings model. So once you have that, that should be fine. And we'll add a document and the default data loader. And the only thing that we'll do here is we'll select custom as the text splitting, and we'll add the metadata option, and we'll add a property, which is file name, and we'll use the name as the file from the download file, drag it into here, and we'll add a text splitter, which is the recursive character text splitter. And what this does, it gets all the data and all the files that you downloaded here, and what it does is it chunks them up and into multiple chunks, so it doesn't have these huge files, and it has multiple chunks that it can work with. This makes it all easier to work with, and makes it all smoother. So I would definitely recommend doing this. And after this, we're basically done. You can just execute this and see if we have any errors. Um, sure. As you can see, it splits them up, goes through each different document, and as you can see, we don't just have 3 items in the output. It actually chunked them up into different pieces, and we got 6 items back. Now, if we go back to the index in Pinecone, we can see we have these different chunks of data that we can now use in this automation. Now we can continue here, and we'll just add the model for the answer questions with vector base. I would just recommend using the OpenAI model as before. And for the embedding, this again important, we just select the same model as we have in the Pinecone vector store. So the text embedding 3 small, and we'll add the dimensions, which is 512. And one last thing we'll need to do is in the Pinecone vector store node, we'll just select the index 2 that we created, and yeah, we should be ready to go. So now let's go and actually test this automation. So far, we're done with the heavy lifting. Now we are almost done. We just need to set up the Google Doc node, the Google Sheet node, and add a Slack message node. So this is pretty simple stuff. So let's just see if that actually worked. All right. For context, I sent myself a PDF file in the PDF format, and I'm going to pin this real quick. And as you can see, it goes into the vector store, uses the chat models to answer the questions, and we got an awesome output. It analyzed the strengths of the candidate, the weaknesses, the risk factor, the reward factor, the overall fit rating, and the justification for the rating, which is amazing. Now we have this output, and we're almost done. We did the heavy lifting. Now we just need to add a Google Sheet note. We need to create a sheet, but for this, we need to just select the append row in sheet, because what we'll do is we'll just add all the information to a row in the sheet. Well, we don't need to do anything else here. And I went ahead and created a sheet. You'll have the template for this in the description below too. So you can just grab this, copy and paste this, and you'll have this for free too. So you can just select this one and select the sheet, and it will map these columns automatically. And what we'll need to do now is just select, put on all the variables. So for the date, what I'm going to do is go onto expression and do these double curly brackets and type in now. So because what this does, it just gives the current date that we have and time, and I'll show you how to format this differently so it actually looks clean. But what this does, when the application gets through this, it just adds the time where the application went through. Now to actually make this formatted pretty well, and not this, like, no one understands this. This is so ugly. So what you can do is click on dot to format and type in these brackets and just put this format in here, and this will return this nice simple date and format. So once we have that, we can move on and put the full name in here. Don't have the full name column right now, so we can go into here. select the first name, the last name, drag and drop it all in here. Position applied for LinkedIn URL. Where is it? It is here. The resume link, we can even do that and go back to the download file, or the upload file rather, note, and we can just drag and drop the web view link into here. And once, if you click on that, we can put it in, can have it here, and you can just see the resume. So if you have someone that is doing your recruiting, he can just absolutely click on this link and review the resume manually too. For the source, you can do that manually, location, department, team. You can put in something like, you can add all sorts of variables in here. This is just for inspiration, what you could add to your Google Sheet. You can put in recruiter assigned application date. This is the same as this pretty much. So you can remove that, the current stage therein. You can all add that, the next step. This is maybe if you're kind of using that to communicate with your recruiters, you can always tell them what the next step is, action needed, so they can easily execute it. The assessment score, we analyze that in the AI agent. So we can go back here. We can drag and drop the overall fit rating in here. The risk factor, we can drag and drop this in here. The reward factor, you can also add the explanations, the justification for the rating. And then what we can do is add the strengths, the weaknesses. And yeah, we're ready to go. We can execute this and see how it adds another beautiful applicant, which is awesome. And now the very last step, I promise. This is or I say two last steps, but this is very simple. We just drag and drop the assessment score in here, and we can select the number is greater than, for example, 8. So what this does, only if it is greater than an 8, it will go down the true path. And we can add a Slack node and select send a message. Where is the send a message? All right, we got it here. And what you can do here is you can create a new credential and paste in the client ID and client secret. For that, I would just recommend searching up Slack OAuth 2 or something like Slack API, and I'm sure that you will find something there, and you will need to set this up. And for the rest, you can just select resource as the message, operation send, and select the message, for example, to channel. If you have a recruitment channel with your recruiters, and you can just select the recruitment channel and type in the message text. For example, we got a new applicant for our, can execute the previous node. So as you can see, it went to the false node because the assessment isn't high enough. So what I'll do is I'll change it to a 10 real quick. What I did was just clicking on this edit output and change it to a 10 under here. And this automatically pinned this. So we can execute this and it will go down the true route. And now what we can do is we have this data that we can work with. We can just select for example, the position applied for. We got a new applicant for our position, and with a high score. Then what you can do is you can just drag and drop the first name, the last name in here, and you can put in the email. You can even put in the resume link, whatever you want. You can this is up to you what kind of message you want to send to your recruitment channel. But what would do is just email resume link, something like the assessment score too. So if it's a 10, your recruiters might, it's worth getting there with speed and reviewing them with speed. So we need to review the this ASAP, for example. And now that we have this, we could click on execute and go into Slack. And as you can see, we got this new message with the applicant email, resume link, and assessment score. And this all worked beautifully. So to recap, I hope this workflow is valuable to you and you will use this, because I think this will make the recruitment process way easier for you. I hope this was easy to follow, and I hope this was valuable. If you would like me to build something like this out for you, I have not a whole entire recruitment process or a system with 4 other workflows like this that make the recruitment process way easier. You can book a call with me below in the description, and you'll definitely speed up your recruitment process like crazy. But yeah, otherwise you can just grab this workflow for free in the description below. There will be a link where you can grab this for free and get the templates and all the documents that I used in the video, and follow along. And so, yeah, hope you're having a great day, and subscribe for more.